Hey guys, this is Lauren with Untethered with Lo, coming to you for my Monday motivation segment with John C. Maxwell's The Maxwell Daily Reader. 365 days of insight to develop the leader within you and influence those around you. So today's segment is on the people around you, the people you attract. And the segment goes like this. Effective leaders are always on the lookout for good people. What will determine whether the people you want are the people you get? It's determined by who you are. If you have to recruit and hire staff, you will probably find that you and the people who follow you share common ground in several key areas. Generation. Most organizations reflect the characteristics of their key leaders, and that includes their age. Attitude. People with good attitudes tend to make people around them feel more positive. Terrible attitudes bring others down. Background. People attract and are attracted to others of the similar background. This nature mechanism is so strong that organizations that value diversity have to fight against it. Values. Whether shared values are positive or negative, the character you possess is what you will likely find in who you follow and who follows you. Energy. It's a good thing that people with similar levels of energy are attracted to one another, because when you pair a high energy person with a low energy person and ask them to work closely together, they can drive one another crazy. Giftedness. People are attracted to talented and excellence and are most likely to respect and follow one who possesses their kind of talent. Next is leadership ability. Who you are is what you attract. The leaders you attract will be very similar in style. Who are you? Who you are is who you attract. Grow accordingly. I think such a great reminder. I know for me, I kind of keep a small circle. Um, a lot of the people I collaborate with or work with, some of my employees, we definitely have a lot of similarities, and we definitely um, have some of the same core values, some of the same ideas that we want in life. And it is really important to make sure you have people around you that value you and stand for a lot of the things that you stand for. Now, you don't have to be, a cookie cutter match, but ultimately you want people who want the same things. The other day I was hanging out with a friend, and it just hit that moment where I got home from hanging out, and I would just notice I was kind of analyzing the combo, because when I left, I felt not as happy as normal. And what had came up for me was that every time my friend and I talk, I'm extremely excited for them and what they're doing, pumping them up, because I know they're great and they can do great things, and they have a lot of value to offer the world. Well, when I got home, and then I in turn shared things that I was doing, but the responses were very dull and just seemed like they weren't really interested. So I had got home and realized, like, for me, there was a difference in energy and excitement. I am most certainly a leader, a cheerleader, and want to like see everybody win, but not everybody has that mentality. And it seems like finally, even though this person has probably showed me this more than one time, I just am now really noticing it. And so when I got home and I was thinking about it, I was just kind of like, it's probably not going to be good for me to keep spending quality time with someone who doesn't cheerlead or rally for me or support the things that I'm growing into the way I do. And so it's hard because we get so connected to some people, and at the end of the day, and we all talk about this concept, is that some things are seasonal. Some people are seasonal, some jobs are seasonal, just things are seasonal. And people serve their purposes and people have their reasons for coming into your life. We always talk about like the concept of lessons and blessings, and ultimately it's one and the same. But it's very valuable to just make sure that if you start feeling this disconnect in the people that you have around you, they are a reflection of you. And so, what is it inside of you that needs to change? Or do you just really need to, because you've grown so much, do you really just need to move away from the space that you're in and find new? And it can be challenging because, when you let go of a lot of people because you outgrow them, you can feel like you've lost something. And that's understandable. We all go through that. We all grow through that. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very important if you want to keep growing and you want to grow into success, you want to grow into leadership, and you want to grow into community to find people who, as you grow and transition, can grow and transition with you, and then to let go of those who don't. And I think these are all super valuable. We do want to make sure we have people of different ages. That's important. I have friends all over. Uh, Attitude, clearly, we all want people who have the best attitude, but we also want people who are honest, right? We don't want to just have people who are like, yes, mans. Like, we want people who can give us opinion and have a positive attitude while giving, like, why are you giving that opinion? So having a positive attitude is important. And just remember, like, attitude is everything, but we understand that in life things get hard. And so if you're having a hard day, I always say it, like, if I know I'm not having a great day, I'll tell people before I give advice, or I'll tell people like I'm not having a good day. I'm not the best one to talk to today. And so that's something you can do to still let people know that you like value them and you're not trying to be a negative Nancy, but you're also not in this space. And it's okay. We all end up there sometimes. Next is background. Ultimately, you end up around people who have the same background as you, but just remember that people who don't have the same background as you have a lot of value because everybody's a teacher. What can I learn from somebody with a different background? Values, obviously, we really want to stick with people who have the same values as us, no matter what. But of course, like I said before, like sometimes we change and people change and people hide themselves. And so some people are more agreeable to what you want, people pleasing, but they're not satisfying themselves or taking care of themselves. And so sometimes their values and their morals aren't in alignment with you. And that's something to keep in mind. Energy, that's right. I know that if you don't hang around people who have the same energy as you, it can definitely get a little exhausting for either one, because someone's going to feel like they're trying to pick up way more slack than the other. Giftedness, it's important to be around people of all gifts, and finding out what people's gifts are. And so I would just circle back to that, like everybody has value. What can you learn? And sometimes it's better to have people who don't have the same gifts as you, especially if you're in a business, because you want people who complement you. So you're not the one doing all the work. And so there can be some overlapping giftedness, but ultimately you also want people who don't have the same gifts as you, who can help you grow and expand. And leadership ability, it's important with that concept to remember we're always a student just as much as we're always a teacher. And so who can be your willingness to step back and let someone lead you, and your willingness to step up and lead others, and then finding mutual ground in respects to that as well. And so these are great. And I just want to encourage you to find people who fit who you are and who you are each season. I know for me personally, like I'm definitely growing through some things, and I find myself spending a little more time alone. I of course have like my core team, but they're also all over the world. So it's like, working to attract my tribe here in Charlotte by hosting like my events and all those things is really helpful. But it's also super important to spend the quality time with yourself, because as you evolve and grow, who are you? And you got to ask yourself that as often as possible, to make sure you are staying in alignment and you're not people pleasing, or you're not, wasting energy on spaces that no longer serve you. And so just want to encourage you that today. I really love the Monday motivations, and I hope you are okay and doing well and feeling grounded on this full moon. So have a blessed day.